The police gonna start killing you young one by one by one. They gonna start killing y'all out, and they gonna clock into work tomorrow because your dumb, stupid ass decided to vote for Donald Trump, and he gave the police immunity, which means that if they kill you, bitch, they can still go to work.
Good and decent people of YouTube, unless you're a racist troll who gets their rocks off by watching black people down and hate each other, and if that is you, you're going to be sorely depressed, because that's not what this video is. It's the opposite, actually. But if that's not you, then I'm going to guess that you don't get in your feed right-wing Nazi propaganda. And you probably don't get a lot of slavery was really good for black people content from PragerU either. You know why? It's because of the algorithm. It's because of the algorithm. The algorithm knows that that content isn't made for you. You're not the target audience. And so, neither do I. I don't get that stuff either. But in the same vein, all of a sudden, right after January 5th, when quite frankly, 85% of all black people voted the exact same way, and we started to see this unity on all the channels I usually watch that showed up. A few days later, the algorithm made a mistake. So leave a like, subscribe, do all the things, right? Check out our link tree, do everything, maybe even get some merch, but make sure you subscribe. We need subscribers, and you're helping this whole channel grow. And the reason why is because it seems like since January 5th, especially if you're a black man, let me know, this into
more than racist white folks, more than racist Hispanic folks, it be black men.
Hey, kudos to the reporter that outed the black men who went and voted for Trump. What the is wrong with y'all? What the is wrong with y'all? You hate black women. You can't say you don't now. You actively voted against black women.
The police gonna start killing you young one by one by one. They gonna start killing y'all out, and they gonna clock into work tomorrow because your dumb, stupid ass decided to vote for Donald Trump, and he gave the police immunity, which means that if they kill you, bitch, they can still go to work.
Now, I've been seemingly inundated with that. I've had to kind of block channels that I don't think I should have to block because there's nothing wrong with them, because I realize I'm not their target audience. And I also know, as a media literate person, that I can see a thing as an adult, hear a thing as an adult, and not have an opinion. You see, I know that I'm not their target audience because these people have thousands of views. And they've had them before the 5th. They've been talking to people who love to hear what they have to say, and it's their prerogative. Somehow I saw it. I find that intriguing. Just at the time when we were starting to get unified, according to the channels I usually watch. But there are a lot of people who will get triggered by that, and I believe that that was the case. That's why the algorithm messed up. Either way, I found it concerning, and not just because of that idea, but as someone who's here trying to make sure that the resistance is strong and that we're all kind of together in this resistance, and we're here for the furtherance of education so that we can withhold it from those who misuse it, and the furtherance of power so that we can have it and take it away from those who have proven not to handle it. That's why this channel exists now. In that vein, I thought maybe I needed to talk to someone who knows a bit more about it than me. That's what I did. And I think that the conversation was so important and so relevant to the movement that we're trying to start here that you need to see it too. I've got some clips here from a licensed professional counselor who's also a black woman, and we spoke on this topic. And I think that if you know that the resistance is under attack and they're using the tool they love the most, the largest demographic that votes for democracy, the black population, the black community, and you think that that's an important thing to know, I think you'll find this educational, intriguing, and you can use it for your personal power, black, white, male, or female. Sorry, trolls, racists. You won't find this very interesting. Check this out. I'll be back. Before I show you these videos, do you have any thoughts on that? How do you feel about this whole thing? What's going on with you about what I just said, about whatever you got?
So for me, I like to, I may not even seem bothered by it. And that's because of the things that we as Black women had to endure. It's like something happens and you have to keep trucking.
Mm.
I hate to sound like a cliche, but it's one of those things where we have to push through another term or another deal or another thing that we don't want to put up with. We have to push through it.
Yeah,
and sometimes the way that you have to push through it, like you were saying, having a safe place. But you got to know where those safe places are. And I don't think a lot of people know where to find those places, because the places that they thought were safe, they aren't safe. And they figured that out, later on.
Yeah.
And I'm a therapist, so I'm always going to lead you to therapy. Therapy for Black girls is like a place that people can go to find
Therapy
a
for
therapist.
Black girls. Is that a website you're saying? Or is that
And so, yeah, it's a platform. Yes.
Oh
I think
man,
it's
that's beautiful.
www.therapyforblackgirls. But if you type it in, it's going to come up immediately on Google.
Yeah.
I think just talking it out with somebody who can understand you would be ideal, especially if you're dealing with it like I see people deal with it online. It's very hard for them.
I believe that if we were to honestly look at a jar, at 5 jars, one is 90% full, one is 80% full, and the rest are all under 50% full. We would look at that, and I don't think we would say that, man, that 80% full jar is a betrayal. I think we would see it for what it is, that 80%, you can't get 80% of people to agree that climate change is real. Like that's a lot, compare especially to the other jars. When you see how low that is, that's something to gather around rather than to feel betrayed by. But I can't tell someone not to feel betrayed by that. Like, we should have also done, it should be 100%. So if I'm a woman, I might say that other 10% of the Black women is a betrayal as well. But that's just how I want people to see that number, because the media will make it look like, well, Black men decided not to do something, and then look around and see the other jars under 50 and be like, are you sure that they didn't? Or is it that you just expected them to always be there and not be and not be a diverse group of human beings like everybody else? Because again, I know that that wasn't meant for me. So because I'm media literate and I do this for a living, don't get upset and angry and start typing in, man, well, what about the 80% of Black men that did this? And why y'all mad? And that's ridiculous. That wasn't meant for me.
Right.
She's been making stuff for a different audience for a long time. So I'm not going to get mad. But I would like to dissect how much of that, as a matter of fact, can I show it to you and then you respond to that question? How much of
Yeah.
that is just a response of my personal angst, my personal thing I've been through, as opposed to what people should look at as, okay, this is credible information and not just entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me show you.
I understand that I think it's like 81 or 83% of Black men, the exit polls have been updated, who voted for Kamala Harris. I love that. But as I stated in another video, the attitude that I'm getting from a lot of Black men on the videos that I do on my page.
The other video is the one I wanted, but this will work.
So what about us? When I talk about Black women taking a step back and protecting their peace, I get comments from Black men. Well, I voted blue, so. And I keep getting comments from Black men saying shit like, oh, so now I want to take a step back because you're trying to get taken advantage of. So now you know how we feel. What about us? What about us? What about you? My page is not for y'all. And if you did that vote as a means by which to think that we now have to kiss your ass, you quite literally could have kept it. Much like how white people and other races don't protect Black women, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that y'all do too. The most harassment and bullying that I get on my social media platforms comes from Black men.
And here's what gets into
more than racist white folks, more than racist Hispanic folks, it be Black men. Much like how white people don't know how to build communities, neither do y'all. And y'all have also ridden on the backs of Black women to do all the organizing and all the dirty work for you. And when we as Black women said that we are done, that included y'all. So if you do something and the attitude is here, damn, you might as well have just kept it. And this is why, despite the fact that Black men and white women have the highest divorce rate amongst interracial couples, y'all are actually, I don't know why, but y'all are perfect for each other. Both of y'all come together because y'all hate Black women and y'all think y'all are better.
I think that's enough. I think you get it. I need you, counselor.
It would take a long time to get through this, as in explain it, because a lot of this stuff still stems back to slavery. A lot of it does. And I don't have the time to go through it and the nuances and let you know exactly what is going on with that. But it's a couple of things in that clip that you showed me. And I'm probably not going to give you the answer, or even women. I'm probably not going to give y'all the answer that you're looking for, because it's some things in the video that I heard, and it's coming straight from anger. Because you cannot lump that 80% in with the other 20%. And it sounds like she's lumping them in together, if that makes sense. Because to me, I didn't think it was anything wrong for them to come under to me and say that, because what they're saying is, hey, like, we're with you. But I think her worldview, especially with the men around her, this is what everybody's worldview is different. And if you constantly are in an area where you don't trust Black men, then that the 80% of the men that's out there that's good, is like the 20% spoil that. But that can easily happen.
Yeah.
Even if I would let my worldview of what I've seen with some of my Black guy friends and how they've, dogged out the Black woman and then end up marrying the white woman when they get straight. If I let that skew my vision of the other men who are not like that, I would think all Black men are against me. All Black men are not against me. I got a terrific husband, Yeah. You get what I'm saying? But I feel on the anger, because 20% is still a lot of Black men. And that's really, like you, I saw a lot of things on the internet where I was like, man, I actually thought a lot more Black men were voting for her because of what I was seeing on like TikTok and everything. And I'm like, man, this is yeah. But it didn't turn out that way.
Yep.
But the anger that I can see that's sitting inside of her, I can tell that is deeper than just this election.
Right.
It's a worldview. It's a worldview issue. It's her worldview issue. And it's a lot of other Black women's other worldview issues.
Now I've got the full interview, both with Ashley and the next person you're about to see, full, like an hour long, for only members. I got to give members something special, but I'm giving you what you need here. There's an idea of demonization here, right? And I believe everything that Ashley said, you may take to heart, especially that website, right? The website that she talked about, therapy for Black girls. Like, if you don't know that these feelings are not only justified, but maybe taken overboard as far as the people that we're talking about. I mean, there is an actual, I think, more measured response to the numbers, like someone like this.
And the next time that a Black man died at the hands of the police, the same Black men that voted for Trump, I want y'all to be front line, front center.
See, the reason why I can't really be on here is because I don't get mad like that. I'ma just call you stupid because that's literally the behavior that you are. Like, what? You voted against yourself for rich white men. There is no other group that Trump benefits but rich white men. And you voted for them to take away everything. You don't just get slavery. You don't just get people in chains. You have to do a bunch of things before that. And that's what you voted for. So when I say bullet bag, I'm talking about black men who vote against their own best interest. Why can't I say that? Why is it against community guidelines to call them what exactly they are? Because the 20% of black men, when they voted, they didn't care about the 80% of black men and black boys who will be murdered because of this. Tax breaks. You sell shirts out of your car.
You see the difference? Instead of wishing for the death of the black kid, they're mourning for it. And that's the difference. That's the difference. Okay, I have one more video. And
Gotcha.
I'd like to get your response. And really that's it. Anything else that you have, because your knowledge of where it comes from is important in informing what we need to do next. And that's where I want to go after this, all right?
Okay.
Every time there's a cause that needs a voice to it, platforms that need to share information on said issue, I've noticed that Black people are always the loudest and willing to give up their platforms and make the loudest noise for other races. We show up and we show out, okay? Every single time. And this has to stop. Please hear what I'm saying. This has to stop. So we look at the exit polls. I think it was 91% of Black women, and I think it's up to like 81% of Black men voted for Harris. Waltz voted for shit to change. All these other races of people, they see what happens when we stay focused and we band together. We show up and we show out. Shit gets moved, okay? So they know they can say, we need help, you guys. They dust off their hands and toss it over to us. And then we rally and we show support and we post the GoFundMes and we post the videos and we're frustrated and we're calling out people for not showing support and using their platforms too. And we're boycotting for these other people. And then when it's time to advocate for us, and then after the fact, they come back and come up in our comment sections and say how embarrassed I am to be a white person or whatever race they are. They're so embarrassed that they don't understand and we're so sorry. And okay, and then they try to guilt us by saying, this is not the time for division. And then they vote against it. So the next big issue situation that happens, all right, I need you guys to remember this. And I'm going to remember to pull up what the exit poll stats are.
I saw your face, the same thing I said, but go ahead, response LPC before I put my foot in my ass.
So it's not really a LPC response. Now, listen, any of my clients will tell you, like, the professional lingo, that's not me. Okay. I'm straight up conversation, talk, let's just boom, boom, bam, this is what we do. That's the kind of LPC I am.
Holla at me, Ashley Jones.
All right. Stage name, A Legend.
A Legend. Yeah, I need to check out her music too. Stop playing. I didn't know if you wanted me to shout you out like that. But more than likely, the music you're hearing right now on YouTube is A Legend. So go check it out. It's on YouTube. All of that. Go ahead.
So on this video, yes, I do understand what she's saying, and I'm gonna take something very small but very big. Boundaries. Black women don't have boundaries. And we need to have boundaries with everything. and everyone. So you don't have to be rude, but a boundary to me is I use a if then kind of statement.
Okay.
If A, B, and C continues to happen, then this is what I'm going to have to do. So if people keep walking all over us, then this is what we have to do. You have to set a boundary there. You have to know who you're helping. You have to know these people and what to expect from them. None of this is new.
Mm-hmm.
None of this is new. Black women have been helpers from the beginning, and Black women have been beat from the beginning. And it's still happening right now. Am I lying?
No.
Okay. It's something inside of us that makes us want to help people that are less privileged, that are overlooked, that are beaten, that are wounded. And that's because we have been. This is the same type of relationship that goes on between relationships between two people. They usually are attracted to each other because of the bonds. Mm-hmm. Things that brokenness attracts brokenness. You've heard that, right?
Something like
okay.
that.
Yes. Yes. So we want to help brokenness, but we're also broken too. And in order to protect ourselves, we're going to have to start putting up boundaries with different nationalities and everything. You don't have to be mean to them, but this is not my fight.
Okay.
This is not my fight. I have to let you handle this. I cannot let myself get into this and build you up. And then when I need you, you're gone. That's what she said, right? You're not there. When we need you, you're gone. But it's always going to happen until we put boundaries up. Boundaries are to protect us. It keeps people out, and it keeps us from going out there and getting people. You right. Get what I'm saying? That's a boundary, because you want to help. You have to tell yourself, well, this is my boundary. And this person is not operating within what I need them to operate. So I need to back up. I don't need to go over this boundary.
Right.
That's how it protects us that way. This way,
right,
you're not doing what I need you to do.
Protected from them.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to start. It's small, but it's big.
No, it's big. That's big.
And we have to start utilizing that. We have to know the battles that we need to fight. Sometimes it's not a battle that we need to fight. It might seem selfish, but it's not. And we have to be okay with that.
On this channel, we deal in power. This has been a focus that I've been preaching for a few weeks now. Our idea of power is warped. So, in setting the boundary, right? I would say, and you tell me if I'm on the right path here with where I'm going. There's one thing that I know for sure in my mind, that is, I'm working with you because it helps my power, right? As opposed to I'm working with you because it helps everybody be happy, or help you be okay, or even help you and your child. We've to be honest with you, right now there comes a time in life that we all end up finding out, and America is about to, that as a human adult, once you realize, especially as a minority, that when you're helping somebody or when you're doing anything, it's for the furtherance of gaining power, because those in power misuse it and those with knowledge withhold it. So my only goal for the next 4 years is to gain power, to use it correctly, and to gain knowledge, to withhold it from those who cannot. In setting these boundaries, how do we know when to reach over for furtherance of our power? Because there's a time when you can have so many boundaries that you're missing out on gaining some power, gaining an
Mm-hmm.
ally. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how do we set those boundaries? And we probably can't finish that in just one session with just one of these.
Right.
But any ideas on moving that forward? Any help? Because I plan on doing this a couple more times too. That we have a lot more than just this thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So this channel will be here for all of that. But any ideas on that?
Give me that last question again.
The how do we know when the boundaries are separating us from power, from allies, from knowing when to say, okay, I'm helping this thing because this thing also happens to help me and my power or knowledge, as opposed to I'm doing this thing because I care about what you're going through. It's it's very Christian of you, but right now we're dealing in power. When are those? How do we know to see the difference in those boundaries?
That comes with knowing who a person is and what they're capable of. That's with any situation. You have to know who that person or the set of persons are and what they're capable of. And if you're dealing with somebody, it's hard to identify. So let me rewind it. You do have to consult with other people
Mm-hmm.
and talk to other people about what you're trying to do. Because sometimes they can point out the red flags that you can't point out.
Okay.
That helps you
Okay.
with trying to figure out if this boundary is too rigid or if I need to loosen it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we can't put the boundaries up there and we self-sabotage.
Who are these other people? People, you mean people that you trust, or you mean like get a network of people like Political Drain Channel, email, right there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That and people that you trust. You have to have that to make sure you're not tripping.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to be discerning about the situation that you're getting into or about the power that you're trying to reach over there for. You have to be discerning because everything is just, it's not good. And we know that. So you have to discern the moment.
Mm.
And in order to do that, you have to get comfortable with learning people and learning situations.
The demonization is kind of what allows the same people who voted against their own self-interest, all the rest of the percentages of all the other groups, white, Latino, Asian, others, to vote against themselves, because the demonization of others allowed them not to really care about what happened to them like maybe they would had they not been demonized. And this guy, he is an educator, he's a master's in education, focusing on African American history. And I just have a piece of what he had to say about that. I thought it was super important, really interesting. Check it out. Oh, and I almost forgot, guys. This guy gives an amazing definition of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And just understanding those three different ways of seeing media and exactly three different types of information that you're receiving will really help you in this fight and just for your own knowledge and mental health. Stay for that, guys. Listen to what he has to say there. It's super important. And this lady says things like, a guy told her if she was her wife, then she would be pregnant all the time, so she wouldn't have time to be doing all this talking, right? And the worst type of misogynist guy that exists out there. She says, well, yeah, there's a small amount, a minute, small, microscopic unseeable amount of men who want to get women pregnant because they actually want to start a family and be a good father. But that's so few of them. The rest of them want to get you pregnant to trap you and to make you subservient to them. Do I know that she's not speaking to me? I'm not her core audience. Yes. Does that equate to straight up demonizing?
The way that we think in general as human beings is that we tend to jump to conclusions because there's something in it for us in terms of our ability to survive, where you got to learn how to survive, right? And so if you're able to learn that there's certain danger um, then you become afraid of certain types of things, and that keeps you safe. And so, but at the same time, as human beings, we have the ability to think broadly and to be open-minded and to be able to say, well, there's a danger in this type of thinking, but that doesn't mean that I get to generalize a whole demographic off of that. So to me, that's one of the basic things that we need to be learning in education and just within our conversations with each other, is that we can't make these unnecessary generalizations, right? And so, some of that comes from being misinformed, from having be a lot of exposure to people who have these really strong opinions that are based on not a lot of fact. And so we have to be able to kind of decipher information that we get. And it just kind of reminds me of different types of information that we can get that like if someone tells you a lie, that's like considered to be disinformation, right? If someone is deliberately lying to you, that's disinformation, right? So they are trying to mislead you by telling you something that's not true. But then you also have people who have misinformation, who are telling you something that's not true, but they're not really lying in the sense that they believe what they're saying to you, right? So if someone just believes what they're saying and it's incorrect, then it's not the same thing as someone trying to tell you something that's false, so that you get led down the wrong path, or get led down the path that they want you to be on. And then what you're describing sounds a little bit like someone trying to sow chaos, right? So you have people who, they don't care what you believe, they just want to make sure that you have drawn some battle lines with someone, that you are treating someone like an enemy, or treating someone or basically trying to make people dislike each other, or be scared of each other without a reasonable suspicion. And so we have to be careful of all of that. And then of course you got something called malinformation, which is where people take something that's true and they use it to mislead you, right? So if you learn a snippet of history and you use it to like confuse people, or to convince them to be apathetic, which is really challenging. Like people will use history to say, oh yeah, well, we've dealt with this before, we've dealt with that before, this is nothing new. And so you can remain apathetic about things, and you can just tune out and not be involved and not care about it, because you're not going to be affected by it anyway. Or if you are affected by it, so what? It happened to previous generations, so it's okay for it to happen to us as well. So there's a lot of ways in which people can be confused, or I don't really like to use the word brainwashed, but you get the idea that people are not thinking clearly about what they're going through, and what the best course of action is for themselves, as well as for the good of the whole country, or even the world.
So malinformation, misinformation, and disinformation is purposefully giving you false information that's just not true, to mislead you. Misinformation is repeating things that you may think are true when you didn't know it was a lie. You're just repeating it because you believe it's true, but it happens to not be. And malinformation is using truth disingenuously, pieces of it, to cut.
Well, and it may not necessarily be disingenuous, but it's not well thought out.
Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.